Hello and welcome to another edition, episode number 45 of the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. My name is Jim, standing in a room in my house in Tampa Bay, and joining me is my friend, co-host, professional evaluator, former coach, successful business owner, and a man whose height I wish I had, although it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference because I really wasn't that good of a player anyway. Jake Epstein.
Yeah, and the height, is not good on airplanes, in cars.
Right. Yeah. I would say cars more so than airplanes. Although if you're claustrophobic, then you got some issues.
Yeah. But it is better than, I guess.
But all the ladies like the height.
Danny DeVito.
Oh, that is true. I'm not as
That'd
short.
be rough.
I'm not as short.
But you
as
gotta be
Danny
funny.
DeVito.
You just gotta be funny.
I'm not funny either, so I'm not. But I'm not as short as him. Hey, I want to address a mistake. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I have no idea how tall Danny DeVito is. Is he 5 foot?
I think he's 5. I thought he was like 5'3".
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just think twins. I love that movie.
Oh, I think of Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, and you know what? No, actually, you know what? I also think of Matilda. I don't know if you've ever seen Matilda.
Yeah, that's your problem. You shouldn't have admitted that. You can edit that out later.
Well, I saw that in my music class in 4th grade.
Made a real statement.
Yes. I'm sure one of your daughters has had to watch that movie.
Yeah, no, I remember Matilda.
Yeah. And you've probably watched it too.
Yeah, it's on my playlist.
I do want to address a mistake I made last week. That was our mechanical breakdown series number 8, not 9. My bad, yo.
Oh.
Yeah. Daddy's busy. Sometimes he loses track. But I do want to address something I didn't ask you about last week. You addressed it, but I didn't ask about it more in depth than I should have. Manny Ramirez and his leg kick. He seems to have the timing down with the leg kick because he's thinking so well along with the pitcher. Can you expand on why that leg kick that he had throughout his career helped, if anything, make him as successful as he was?
Yeah, I mean, leg kicks, if you're going to have a leg kick, you got to really do it early and often is what I tell my players, because I have a lot of, we have an elementary school, class. So we probably have, 16, 20 elementary school players as part of our regular membership. And those guys, a lot of them have leg kicks, and their parents constantly ask me, should we get rid of the leg kick? It's, he's kind of off and it's not working. And I'm like, if he's ever going to have a leg kick, you just got to work through it. You either work through it when you're 9 years old, or you work through it when you're, 14 years old, if you're going to have that. So I usually don't ever shy away from players unless it's really bad and like their front foot goes behind their back foot or something like that, which sometimes happens.
Yeah.
But you have to be in control to have a leg kick like that. You have to be able to lift that leg kick, when the pitcher breaks his hands. Yeah. And you have to be able to consistently get to the top of that leg kick by the time the ball's released. By far anticipating pitches and having a leg kick go together, because like I think I mentioned even in that podcast last week, sometimes I would see him drop his front foot and that ball be small, and he wasn't looking for fastball. He was looking for something slow, and he sold out so much that he was in no position to hit that fastball because of his stride. He was keeping it in the air longer. He just thought, I'm going to keep it up there. I'm going to be slow coming down. I'm going to look for that off-speed pitch, and if it's not off-speed pitch, I'm just going to take it because I don't have 2 strikes. So yes, the leg kick, is great for timing if you can do it, if you can control it, if you have the balance. Yeah. And then more than anything else, you have to keep trying it. You can't give up. That's what kids do. They give up on a stride, or they give up on a certain, hey, I want to try this rhythm today or this load. Oh, it didn't work that time. So they just give up on it.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You have to stick with moves that you feel will help you down the road in the long run.
Well, I have something I want to touch on in our topic today. We're talking about hitting myths and farces about as it pertains to the leg kick. And we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, because I had somebody once tell me something that I didn't necessarily agree with, but I also didn't necessarily disagree with as well. By the way, I'm happy for you that Texas now, and I didn't hear any blowback from my Ivy League comments I made last week. You might remember those. I was expecting those cancel culture schmucks to come after us and try to cancel the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. But
they're smart enough.
I did see, a tweet as it pertains to the full reopening of Texas, and I actually thought of the lab, and I thought of the lab BCS and how now everything's open and there's nothing to be worried about. Not that you were doing anything illegal. I want to make that perfectly clear, but it still has to be very comforting for you and the business and everything else going on in Texas and surrounding the lab.
Yeah, I mean, we have a really close-knit group of members and parents that we've all gotten to know, and they've been great during the whole process. We've told them, like, we have to limit the amount of people in the building. The coaches will wear masks when there's more than X amount of people in there. We'll try to keep our space. We have plenty of space in there, but I think the big thing was parents weren't really allowed to be in there.
Sure.
They couldn't hang out. And now, I think we can open that up, and they can kind of be part of the training like they were before. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm here in Denver now, and I leave tomorrow to head back to Texas to the lab, and it'll be interesting to see what it's like. It's so weird to, this whole shutdown's been so weird, and now all of a sudden to be able to, and actually, I don't know if the grocery store is still. I know some of the grocery stores you have to mask up, and I'm sure maybe Academy Sports. I mean, I don't know. There's probably certain places that require you still to wear a mask, but it might be kind of feel funny to go into a grocery store without a mask on.
Yeah,
like it's been so long that we've had to do that. It's almost changed our entire culture.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And if you want to wear a mask, by the way, I'm sure there's people listening to this show that support mask wearing. If you want to wear a mask in Texas, you can still wear it, but it's not a law anymore.
You're not going to get arrested. Your business isn't going to get shut down. I mean, those were the regulations that we had as a business, where if they knock on the door and people aren't, following the code or the order that was put in, then
right.
They could kick people out or fine you and whatnot. So we don't have that fear, but we did what everybody asked, and our players, did the best they could with masks on. And now I think they'll be able to breathe a little bit easier. But their breath is still so bad that I might just make them wear the mask.
Oh,
the high school kids, they eat, it's like burritos and like Whataburger before they come in and train.
I'm going to throw up.
They totally stink.
It's like they love we talked about this before. Do you guys have a Steak and Shake in Texas or Colorado?
No, we used to have them in Colorado.
Whataburgers. Yeah, Whataburgers like it's like an equivalent of Steak and Shake. Both absolutely disgusting. I'm big on oral health, by the way, too. So I always have like in front of me, I have this pack of gum Trident, which I go through these like Skittles, and I have like a Listerine stuff.
Yeah.
So tell your high school kids to.
Maybe I'm going to have you as a special guest. I'm going to have a special guest.
And what would that do for you?
I don't know.
Teach them breath control.
It wouldn't. I wouldn't gag as much, when I'm teaching.
I'm good. I've been told I'm a great underhand flipper, and I'm a great BP pitcher.
Oh, dude, let me know when you can start.
I will even do it for free. Sure, I'll do it for free.
Come on down.
I will do it for free as long as we got to negotiate something here. As long as you buy me a solid pack of Trident gum.
Okay, I'll even take you to a good dinner.
Okay, not Whataburger.
Not Whataburger. But I will never ever say anything bad about Whataburger.
No, it's not like they're a sponsor of the show or anything.
No, but that's a lifeblood of at least we are in Texas. Like that is an institution. Like In-N-Out is an institution in Southern California. Yeah. Whataburger is an institution in Texas.
Ugh. Do they have a Beef O'Brady's in Texas?
No.
It's kind of an institution in Florida.
Yeah.
I want to give some love to our female listeners. We have a segment of female softball players and dads who listen. And I think probably a lot of them are like my father, who had a son who played the game. And then, of course, his daughter wasn't really much of a softball player. She hated it, but she did play a little bit. So I'm sure there's the crossover demographics. Danielle Gibson is the name. Saw this on Twitter at Starting9. Yeah, I think this was last night. Arkansas, they were playing somebody. I can't remember who. But Danielle Gibson hit a bomb. I mean, a left-handed batter, beautiful leg kick. We just talked about that. Sweet swing, beautiful swing. My God. She hit a rocket. I mean, it wasn't even a rocket. It was an absolute bomb that probably could have at least made it to the warning track, maybe hit the wall in some big league parks. I mean, this thing was launched. So I want to give some love. And I promise that we will do more softball topics, ladies and gentlemen, fathers of the ladies who play softball as we progress throughout the year. We have to do some softball topics, but I do want to give some love to our softball listeners and talk a little bit about Danielle. And I'm not sure if you know that name, and you may not, but I know you do follow a lot of college softball, especially in the SEC. This girl's swing is beautiful.
I saw the home run you're talking about. I think it was 73 miles an hour. They said she hit it off the bat. Wow. And it went, they calculated it like 275 or something like that, which is, it's a long way for hitting a softball.
Yeah.
You know, especially she's not, my size, like she's a normal sized human being. So I will say Arkansas hits. They hit and they practice hitting. They're a very offensive minded school. I know their assistant coach, Yolanda McCrae, we've talked, a bunch kind of throughout the years, and she's just a hitting nut. She loves hitting, and she posts such great, pictures and videos of what, their work on and how they train and all that stuff. And it makes sense that they hit the way they do, because they spend a lot of time in it. And it's the only way you're going to be good. There's some schools in baseball as well, baseball or softball. Some schools always hit, right? Why are they offensive schools, and why are these pitching schools? And well, it comes from the top. Like whatever your head coach is, that's going to filter down to the players. Yeah. If you have a head coach that's defense pitching minded, wants to put pressure on the defense with push bunts and drag bunts and safety squeezes and suicide squeezes, that's the kind of offense you're going to have. Oh, let's get deep in the count. We don't want to chase bad pitches. You're going to have a team that strikes out a lot because they get to 2 strikes a lot. And you're going to have a team that probably walks a decent amount, but you're going to have a very unaggressive team. And then when you have a coach, that's very offensive minded and doesn't care if guys swing early in the count, and there's not a fear factor of making a mistake. Those are your offensive schools, and it doesn't change, from year to year. Like these schools hit every single year, and these schools usually that's why they're, if we only would have hit a little bit, we could have won the College World Series, because they pitched so well and their defense was so good, So you kind of have to have that perfect combination, or you have to be able to delegate those responsibilities to your coaches. Look, I went out, I hired this awesome pitching guy, run with it. And if he fails, then find somebody else, right? Or I hired this hitting guy, but I'm going to let him run with the offense, right? You get him out there, motivate him, create approaches, whatever you need to do. But if you're a head coach and you're trying to have your hand in everything and become almost a micromanager, sometimes that's tough, on different programs.
Yeah. You look at Cal State Fullerton, perfect example. They're known for pitching and it starts from top down. I mean, for years, what made Andy Reid so successful in Philadelphia was that he had Jim Johnson coordinating his defense, and he could worry about the offense. I mean, so you're exactly right when you bring that up. Also, today is March 8th, by the way, March 8th. Do you know who died? I'm kind of a trivia question. I know you don't want to, on a Monday morning, you don't want to hear a trivia question.
Yeah.
Do you know who died on this date? Who passed away on this date? March 8th, 1999.
Oh, geez.
That's a tough one. This is the type of question you'd get on like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Jimmy.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people probably died.
Or The Weakest Link with Jane.
People die all the time, Jim. Was this a famous person?
Except for me. I'm going to live forever. Yes, it is.
Was it an athlete?
It is an athlete.
Was it a male?
It is a male.
Was it a baseball player?
It is.
Was he under 50?
Do you want me to give you like 4 A, B, C, D?
This is like a bullpen. This is like a bullpen game we're playing right now.
I'll give you A, B, C, D. I'll be like Jimmy Kimmel and you be like the contestant. But you're out of lifelines. And you're playing for $250,000.
It's a big number.
Big number. A, Lou Gehrig. B, Ted Williams. C, Frank Robinson. D, Joe DiMaggio.
Ted Williams.
Oh, Jesus. No. Actually, though, he did die in 1999. No, he didn't. Did he in 1999? I know he died after the All-Star break because he was at Fenway in 1999.
He died right around there, maybe 2000.
All right. But it was not
I don't
him.
know. It was right around there because I told you they dedicated that he wasn't doing too well one. So if it wasn't then it was, what was the last one you said?
Well, you haven't given
Frank Robinson.
But that's not your final answer. You have to say final answer.
Oh yeah, that wasn't my final answer.
All right. The D was Joe DiMaggio.
Joe DiMaggio.
Okay.
So Joe DiMaggio, I'll take Joe DiMaggio for
Is that
final answer. Lock it in.
Answer. You're correct.
Yeah.
Joe DiMaggio passed away on this date, March 8th, 1999. When I was prepping for the show this week, the wheels kind of started turning a little bit, and I began to wonder. And I'm not saying it'll ever happen, so don't misquote me here, please, audience. Don't yell at me on Twitter. But if by the grace of the man upstairs, the good Lord, as it were, what type of hitter would that person have to be to break Joey D's hit streak record of 62 games? What type of hitter in today's environment, today's game?
A lucky hitter.
Okay.
An extremely lucky hitter.
Okay. So that the universe would really have to align.
That felt no pressure or stress.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you. I mean, it would.
I have a name, but that's, I don't want to put all pressure on him.
Yeah.
I have one name. One name.
I mean, it would have to be somebody with extreme skills.
I'm gonna say the name, but you're gonna disagree, but you're gonna pretend to agree to make me look good.
Is that how it's gonna work? Why don't you tell me who it is then?
I will. And I want you to be honest if you think it yes or no. Bo Bichette.
I don't know enough about Bo Bichette.
It's fair.
I really don't. I mean,
there's a guy who could do it.
The Blue Jays are like the Rockies, man. They're never on TV.
That's true. They're barely on TV in Canada. Barely on TV in Canada. That's my guy. I'm saying that would be the guy to break it.
Okay, so gentleman's bet over the next 5 years.
5 years.
If Bo Bichette
10.
10 years?
10. Why 5?
Because I'll probably lose my mind in the next 10 years. But okay, whatever. 10 years.
You're not old.
10 years. If Bo Bichette has the longest,
you're putting a cap on our podcast of 5 years
hitting streak. It might be 5 minutes.
This might be the last episode.
We never
These
know.
first 15 have flown by. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, like if he's got the longest hitting streak after 5 years or 10 years, then you win the bet. I don't think anybody's going to come close to.
So you don't think he'll get? But you're saying so he won't get to 62.
No, but maybe somebody will get to 30. When was the last time somebody got to 30? 35.
I think it was Jimmy Rollins in 2000 and whatever it was. But Bo, fun little fact, he has I think it might be the major league record of most games in a row with a double, with at least one double. 9. Now I'm not equating that to the 62 game hitting streak, but
you got to get hot. You got to have a swing that's on plane, so when you're not hot, you're still getting hits.
Yeah.
Usually, you got to be able to run a little bit.
He can run
those little bleeders. And then you got to be lucky once in a while. And you got to have somebody hitting behind you.
Bo has that,
right?
He has
because
that.
I mean, you might have games where you're really hot, right? So you're going to get walked 2 or 3 times.
Bo has that. Just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So you're right.
So I'm not saying he's going to get to 62. I'm saying he's the only one who I think I look at on paper, and just based off all my evaluations and my pretend evaluations in my head, and I say that could be the guy that could maybe break it or at least get close. So maybe he'll get like 45 games.
Okay.
Gentleman's bet. Fair bet.
Gentleman's bet.
Yeah.
If he gets to 35 games, I'll do cartwheels for you.
Cartwheels.
I
want to see you do a handstand against the wall.
Okay, that could work. That's easier than a cartwheel.
And if he doesn't get to 35 within the next 10 years, I will do 100 push-ups in a row for you.
Okay.
And I will do them in a row. I'll do them in a row. I won't stop.
That's impressive.
I will not get up and I will not go to my knees or anything. I will do the 100 push-ups in a row. Deal?
That doesn't equate to me trying to do a cartwheel or a handstand though.
Well,
because you can do 100 push-ups. I can't do a cartwheel.
No, I'm not. That's why I said I can't do one either. But that's why I said you should do a handstand.
Okay. Good enough.
Maybe just a beer. Why don't we just do a nice solid,
That sounds good.
Give me like a big, because I'm going to win the bet probably. So give me like a big what's those big Texas-sized boots?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big drinker.
Awesome.
I'm not a big drinker, but I will do a beer for that.
I like
35 games.
Yeah.
I hope it's 62. God, I hope he blows it out of the water. That'd be great. Can you imagine? And I will keep this recording. I will keep the receipt, and I will send it to every major league general manager. I will send it to every major league president. I promise. They better pray that Bo doesn't get to at least 35 or at least whatever. Because I will keep it, and we'll record this, and I will send it out. Don't think I won't.
And you won't be allowed in any stadium after that.
Oh well, you know what?
The Blue Jays will ask for your credentials.
That's fine. Here you go.
Even though it was their guy.
I will gladly watch it on TV. No problem. Why go to those dirty ballparks anyway? Who knows what kind of strain of COVID there will be by then? God forbid.
I know.
My God.
So many.
All right. Well, coming up, we're going to talk about our hitting myths and farces, episode number 45 of the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. But first, spring training is here. And that means if you have a son or daughter, my dad is both. Right? You got all daughters. Nothing wrong with that either. Wherever you're listening to this show, their season is probably getting close to, getting underway, unless you're one of our listeners in Australia. Their season's probably over. But hey, you know what? If you ever want to come to the States, and if you're in Texas, for example, which is now free and open, free to go about your business and go outside, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to wear a mask in the grocery store. Well, now's a great time to visit Jake's successful business, The Lab in College Station, Texas, The Lab BCS. The member training and hitting program is built from the Director of Player Development's Division I coaching and Major League Baseball consulting background. Softball and baseball members will receive the same level of instruction as SEC conference teams and professional organizations, and the use, of course, of technology like hit tracks, virtual reality, and more. It's all there. It's great. So again, I would check this out if I were you.
The best part about some of the mandates is the fact that we are allowed to have summer camps this year. And we had so much interest in that last year because we have a huge field. We got a huge, I don't know how big it is, acres wise, turf fields where we can run infield, we can run throwing, pitching, hitting, we can play games. We're so excited that we'll actually be able to do that this summer at the lab. So in-state, out-of-state, be on the lookout. I always do out-of-state trainings for players, typically after the college season ends. After the high school season ends, players come out for, I'll have some special stuff for out-of-state players to come out for a week and train and get ready for summer ball, wherever it may take them.
Yeah. So for more information, be sure to register for one of the many packages. Very affordable. And log on to thelabbcs.com. Again, it's in College Station, Texas, which I've heard, by the way, is a beautiful town. It's a great college town.
It's a great town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. By the way, new episodes every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Show is available on Apple, Google, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, the app, and Pandora. We made the big announcement last week that our show will be streamed now on YouTube, so you can watch our video. It will become like a video podcast, and with the audio, it'll still be audio, and you can see Jake's lovely face, my ugly face, my unshaved face. And be sure to follow us on social media at Jim Tara, at Epstein Hitting, both Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for all the listens. We really do appreciate the listening numbers that we've gotten. They've been very, very good. Let's get into our topic, episode 45 of the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast. Of course, that topic today hitting myths and farces. I was on Facebook back in 2017. Quick little story here. And a stupid cousin of mine on my dad's side had a son who played, I don't know if he still plays, but played baseball at the time. And he shared a video of some coach telling kids in a group to just throw the barrel at the ball. That's what, and this was quote, that's what the big leaguers do. So there's a huge farce right there off the bat, right? I mean, the idea of throwing the barrel at the ball, I understand how this could be a cue for somebody, but sometimes, more times than not, these cues like that very much so become farces. And unfortunately, it plagues the minds of young hitters.
Yeah, every term can be a cue that can make sense to one person and be completely off track from the other person. For instance, throwing the barrel of the ball is something that big league, like that's said. People say you have to throw the barrel of the ball, but what does that mean? Like, how do you throw the? Do you grab the barrel and throw it? Do you release it? Do you use your wrist to do it? Do you rotate it? Like, what does that mean? Well, to somebody that's very, I don't know, advanced or athletic, maybe 1 out of 50 people, that kind of makes sense to. Oh yeah, I feel like I'm just throwing the barrel of the ball. Okay, okay, maybe that works. But to a 10-year-old, you say throw the barrel at the ball, it's not going to mean anything. Right. That doesn't mean, how do I throw that when the barrel is, here and I'm holding the handle. So you have that, and you have, knob to the ball, right? Which I've talked about, before. Well, you got to take the knob to the ball. Okay. But where do you take the knob to the ball? When the ball is released, when the ball is halfway to the plate, when the ball is on a tee, you certainly don't hit the ball with the knob. So you don't want to take your knob out. You want to take it forward. So again, there's so many different cues that make sense to some people, but don't work for others. And, for instance, like if somebody told me, I think the biggest one is that I heard way back when I was playing was keep the barrel above the hands at contact. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know how many tens of thousands of pictures and videos, and I've never seen anybody with the barrel above their hands at contact. Like, that's impossible. But should it stay above the hands during the first part of rotation? Maybe. Like, I'll tell players that, hey, I need you to keep the barrel above your hands longer. Mm-hmm. And then I'll show them and feel it. Why? Because maybe they dump the barrel early because they like to snap it, or whatever they're trying to. Not that snap it's. Well, I would never teach that, but like that's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to pull their top hand back behind them and whatever, right? That's going to create a barrel dump and underneath. So maybe a player like that's been. Now I have had a lot of players that were taught that, and then I've had to kind of fix them.
Yeah,
those are cues. Hey, I need you to keep the barrel above your hands as long as you can. And then I show them on video and I'm like, no, that's still not long enough. And then try to do it here. So again, as silly as that phrase is, keep the barrel above your hands at contact, sometimes you can use part of that when you're teaching, or vice versa. Maybe you have a player that never drops the barrel. You may have to say, hey, I need you to drop the barrel more. I need you to snap it.
You're right. Yeah.
Maybe that works. Here's one. I don't know if you have this one written down.
Well, before you get that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I might forget, Jim.
There is a video though out there with Tony Gwynn, best one of the best hitters of all time. You've probably seen it when he was talking to a group of kids. He talked about knob to the ball. Well, again, you mentioned the cues that may have worked for him. That cue probably worked for him, but that's not exactly what he did, right?
Right. No, but it did work for him. I mean,
it worked for him, but it worked as a cue for him, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and he was so simplistic with his, hey, I want you to get to a good hitting position, but he never really said what that was.
Yeah.
Get to a good hitting. What does that mean? Balanced, weight centered, weight back. I mean, get to a good hitting position, take the knob to the ball, stay inside of it. Well, how do you stay inside of it?
Right.
You just stay inside of it. Don't roll over it. That's it. So it was, that he was a legend, right? Like he didn't have to think about that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably had a great swing when he was 13 years old, 12 years old. Like the dude can hit, right? He had the moves and he didn't have to sit there and try to overanalyze everything to do it. He was going to hit. So,
well, it was like, you know what?
Take the knob of the ball, right?
And David, who was the old Marlins president? Who was that jerk off who said? Remember, he criticized Daniel Hudson for during the World Series leaving to tend to his wife who was giving birth. Jerk off. But he said he compared a story about Barry Bonds. He relayed a story about Barry Bonds and how Bonds was a terrible hitting coach because he said the things that you just said, where, okay, get in a good hitting position. Well, what does that mean? And a lot of former big leaguers are like that. They were great, and they use terminology that they understand, but their peers and their students don't completely understand either.
Right. And usually big league hitting coach, like I shouldn't say big league hitting coach, but legendary baseball players that were hitting coaches.
Yeah.
They never had to break it down.
Yeah.
They never struggled and had to build themselves up. They never had to, they just played.
Right.
And they had feels that got them out of something. What were they great at? They're great at approach. I mean, Bonds, if you didn't listen to Bonds about approach, then shame on you. Like that's where he would have been gold.
Yeah.
How, what are pitchers trying to do? What am I trying to do? What is the situation called for based on the outs or
exactly.
How many, if we're winning or losing, that's the kind of stuff that was gold. But for him to teach mechanics, he never was a guy that studied a ton of video when he was hitting, I'm sure. He just his body. I mean, if you look at when he was 170 pounds with the Pirates and when he was 230 pounds with the Giants, it was the same move.
Yeah.
Like that, his swing did not change.
Yeah.
He had that swing. He just had different feels when he got into different, maybe if he got into a funk or something. But yeah, he's a big top hand guy. I mean, he's all about the top hand. Keep the barrel up. Keep the barrel up above your hands as long as you can. Yet here's a guy that all he was trying to do is hit balls in the air.
Right.
Right. So how does that?
Exactly
well, it was, there's different ways to hit balls in the air. You don't just have to dump your barrel all the time to hit it in the air. So
what was the one you had? Sorry about that. Anyway,
I forgot.
Oh, you forgot.
I'm just kidding. I've been thinking about it in the background, so I didn't forget.
Okay, good.
So it was step where the pitch is. Step where the pitch is. They always used to say that. Hey, if the pitch is outside, you just step into it. If it's inside, you step out a little bit. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Wait a second. I got 0.24 seconds to make up my mind.
Yeah.
And
so what you do? Oh wait, it's outside.
It's outside. I'm gonna. And so people used to think, oh, you don't stride until you recognize. I mean, that's what that means. Oh, you recognize the pitch.
Yeah.
And then once you recognize it,
then you just stride and you go.
Then you stride to where you think that is. I'm like, that's slow pitch softball, brother. That you can't do that. You can't even hardly do that in Little League, let alone like anything past 12 years old. So that was always my favorite.
Here's one too: the extension at the point of contact.
That was contact, right? Yeah. Make sure you're extended.
Right.
And what would they do? They would extend out over home plate, not even forward.
Exactly.
So they would be really far away from the plate. That's a killer one, actually.
Then they would just kind of swing like they were swinging gate, like woo.
Yeah.
Here's my personal favorite, though.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll get into like kind of a striding talk here because we talked earlier in the show about about
Manny's leg kick.
Right. Thank you. Get the foot down early. You hear that from college coaches a lot. Not you, I'm saying. Of course not. But yeah.
I mean, that was one of the worst. Yeah, I mean, and I think it might even still be around a little bit, but not nearly what it was even 10 years ago. But that was a big thing. Everybody was so concerned about being late that it was get your foot down early. So then they would get their foot down too early, and then they would end up striding again, almost like a double stride, and then they'd be late on the second one. It's like the worst thing you could possibly do is, and plus you're breaking inertia, right? You're stepping, stopping, and then you're starting again. So that was a big thing. Get your foot down. Big leaguers would talk about it all the time. In fact, I think on like MLB Network, sometimes I would hear them talk about, get your foot down earlier. Get your foot down on time.
You still do hear it.
You still do hear it.
Yeah.
But it's like nobody knows what that means. It's like your foot's got to be down when the ball's like 12 to 14 feet from home plate. That's what I mean. So I don't care what you do. If your stride just goes boom, boom, then you can start when the ball's 30 feet from home plate. But it's got to be down by the time it gets to that like 10 to 14 foot area. But if you got a really slow Manny Ramirez type stride, what do? Well, now all of a sudden you got to start like when the pitcher brings his hands apart. Now all of a sudden I got to start moving. So it's all dependent on how fast you move to get your foot there. In fact, I was doing I don't know if they listened to the podcast or not, but there were two sisters. I was reviewing their videos today, and they were hitting in a cage. I don't know if dad was throwing to them or mom, or if it was off a machine, but they both had really good hand paths, meaning, if there's an issue that I see with players, like, somebody sends, hey, this is my first video. I'm like, okay, they're going to have bad drag or arm bar, right? Like, I just know that's going to be the case. Okay. So these girls did not have, now they've been in the academy for a while, right? So they had no bad drag. They had great extension, right? So short to the ball, long through the contact zone, weren't rolling the wrist, but they weren't striding until the ball was probably halfway to the plate. So what happened was they were swinging before their front foot landed. So with someone like that, it's like, oh my gosh, no matter how good your swing plane is, they were hitting everything, but it would be like if you were going to punch someone, but instead of pulling your arm back, if you're right-handed, like a right-handed boxer, you would just start square and just punch forward, right? You wouldn't recoil and turn your body and then unload your body. You would just kind of like, it was almost like a jab without momentum. And so it was like, no matter how much they hit it on the barrel, there's just no inertia. So if they fix that move, if they get their foot down, quote, on time, they probably would hit the ball 10 miles an hour harder, at least. And it's like, okay, how do we do that? And so I had to do an entire analysis on, look, when the pitcher starts moving, you have to start moving. You have to get your foot down here. And then I could see the pitcher, when the ball was coming out, they were flat-footed. And, that's one of the big things that, and I've said this before on the podcast, why our players down at the lab have been so successful. And yes, we've made a lot of mechanical changes, but more than anything else, we've made timing and rhythm adjustments. So that players are consistently on time to be able to use their good swing. Because if you're not on time and you have a good swing, it doesn't matter. Or if you're on time and you have a bad swing, that doesn't matter either. So you have to have, both those aspects working in your favor.
Right. And in regards to Manny Ramirez and his swing and his timing step, it was almost always on time with the pitch. Amazing. It really was. The thing I wanted to bring up earlier about what somebody told me, this was a junior college coach, told me this a couple of years ago. When I brought up a point about a player, and I said, maybe if they incorporated a bigger leg kick, get more use of his legs when he was in his swing, he said to me, well, it's just a timing step. Well, I'm gonna volley that to you. Is it just a timing step, or could you incorporate a type of leg kick for a player that could help them get going and get the momentum and use their legs more?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, otherwise pitchers wouldn't have a leg kick. Right? They would just throw flat-footed.
Exactly.
But they need momentum. If we were playing the infield, we would throw flat-footed. We wouldn't take a step forward. Why do we take a wide step when we make a strong throw from the outfield? Because it creates more energy and leverage. So I think that would have been a really fun. So absolutely. And I'll test it with a player. Like, here's your stride. Now let's take a big stride and swing hard. Okay. You swing 4 miles an hour harder with that. You're out of control. Yes, I'm out of control. Well, let's be out of control for a week. Try it.
Right.
You're 12, right? Like, try it. It's not like you're trying to make, it's not like the fall of your freshman year at college where you're trying to revamp something. That's a huge, for a kid that age, it's like a 8% increase in power. We need to like totally tap into that. Let's see if we can tap into that and be under control. What would have been a really fun conversation is if you would have said, what if you gave him a bigger leg kick to help with his timing?
Yeah, well, he's an idiot. So his ignorance would have said, well, so it's still just a timing step. Idiot.
Well, so, right. But I mean, most people think if you have a big step, your timing's going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, that's kind of like, if you, I hate to say like some college coaches, but it's like, you can't have a step like that.
Yeah.
Right. Because, they throw too hard in the SEC. Okay. George is going to be throwing 98 miles an hour. Right. Well, it's like 95%, I shouldn't say 95, maybe 85% of major leaguers have big old leg kicks. I mean, look at the Dodgers. The Dodgers have big strides.
Right. Yeah.
Like Kike, big stride.
Justin Turner.
Yeah. Big stride.
Mm-hmm.
Seager got real wide.
Mm-hmm.
Who else is on that team? Trevor Bauer.
Chris Taylor.
Chris Taylor, too. Same thing. Yeah, right. Peterson, Jock Peterson.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they all have it. They can hit 100 miles an hour. So it has nothing to do with that. It has to do, can you control that, and can you start with it early enough and have the strike?
So what my argument should have been? I'm sorry.
No, it shouldn't have been an argument, but it would have been
funny
debate. To hear it would have been funny to hear, because most people think, oh my God, this guy's from another planet, right?
Yeah.
If you say, why don't you have a bigger leg kick for timing? Because usually they're like, have a small leg kick. That'll help with your timing. Yeah. But a lot of times what happens is kids do the really fast, small stride, and they're always early.
Yeah.
Right. They don't know when to do it. But when you do a slow kind of early stride, it forces them to control their body and actually be able to adjust their timing. So it's kind of fun. Not everybody can do it.
Yeah. Or comprehend
I couldn't
what
do it.
Saying.
I never stuck with it. I had a pretty good stride.
Yeah.
But I never had like a leg kick.
Mm-hmm.
I know Matt Yingle at the lab. He had a leg kick all of his professional career and college career. Yeah. And he said people try to take it away from him all the time. And he's like, dude, I'm 175 pounds. I'm a skinny dude, and I hit jacks. That's the only way I'm going to hit jacks.
Yeah.
And it actually, he was able to control it, but a lot of guys can't. And so the only way to do it is to try, like anything else. If you don't try, you don't know if you can or can't do something.
What would you say the percentage of major leaguers right now that use leg kicks, hitters?
I would say over half.
Yeah. So what, 65, 70?
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking of, let's go through, I don't know. I mean, we kind of went through the Dodgers, the Rockies, at least half of the Rockies.
Blackman, yeah.
Story's got a pretty good one.
Arenado doesn't, but Goldschmidt does.
No, this is more of a forward, kind of a forward. But Helton had one.
Right.
Yeah, I would say, it might not even be 65%, but
Gleyber Torres is a big one. Yeah.
They have a move, Baez, right?
Oh, big one.
And then you have like Chris Bryant doesn't, but Bichette does, and then with 2 strikes he doesn't.
Right.
What I like about Bichette is he goes polar extremes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What you don't want to do is like, I have a leg kick and then I have kind of a regular stride.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, I'm either going to take a leg kick or I'm going to just keep my foot on the ground and just try to find a barrel.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of a cool approach that some guys can do.
I'm winning our bet, by the way. I'm winning. I'm definitely going to win the bet. No doubt.
What if somebody else has 36?
Then
what
I
if
guess
somebody else
lose?
has a longer streak? You lose.
Then I lose. I hope it's somebody that.
I mean, do you think anybody gets hotter than Tatis Jr.? And he's got the swing plane to move it.
Arenado gets pretty hot.
Arenado gets hot, but not for that longevity. Like
Like
I mean,
Trout.
Harper gets hot, but he's not going to get hot for that long.
He's not going to go 35. Trout. No, not Trout.
Trout could. I don't think Trout has.
Oh, I got a guy. Juan Soto, maybe. No, not feeling it. Juan Soto's gonna make like $1 billion over like 30 years. That's his next contract.
It's gonna be the first $1 billion player. Yeah, that's possible.
Soto's has a 20-year, $1 billion contract.
That's pretty good.
I think that's when I'll just tap out.
Yeah.
I'll just say, okay, I'm gonna.
And the Rockies will give it to him, and then they'll trade him a couple years later and eat half the salary.
Right. Right. And not getting back. How about Swingers? Here's a good one. Go ahead. What? Yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe what?
I don't remember what I was saying. Oh no, I was gonna say maybe Bridich knew what he was talking about here in Colorado. Maybe some of the guys he traded for become a Hall of Famer. Maybe Luken Baker hits 60 home runs a year. Maybe he's the next
$1 billion
Aaron Judge. Maybe he's the next Aaron Judge.
Yeah,
you never know.
Luken Baker in 3 years, he signs a 20-year, $1 billion contract.
That's right.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah.
Bridich did go to Harvard.
Well, he did go to Harvard?
I think so.
That doesn't exactly equate to being baseball smart, does it?
But being smart.
Of course.
He's been in baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a student I worked with that went to Harvard.
Right.
Played baseball there. Very smart. He joined the military.
Okay.
He joined the military.
Yeah.
You know what he does? You know what he did?
What?
He said, I'm going to just run the missile defense system in like 2 years. He ran the entire missile defense. Why? Because he went to Harvard and he was smart.
Yeah.
He didn't take missile defense strategies at Harvard.
Yeah. Does he know what he's doing now, or?
I don't know what he's doing now.
Oh, okay.
It's probably super top secret.
Yeah, I thought he would be like at the Capitol or something. Guard.
He might be. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He's one of my first students.
Oh, what, long time ago.
Oh my gosh. I don't even know what year that would be. 2004, 5.
Oh God, he's well older than me. Wow, he might be closer to your age.
Yeah, like I think we were probably only, I don't know, a few years. When did I start teaching? That was 18 years ago. Jeez, do I have to do math? I was 20. Yeah, we were probably like 5 years apart.
You sure he's not like the head of the CIA right now?
He might be. Yeah, that's why we don't hear about him.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking his name. He was, well, this will give you an idea how old he is.
I want to look him up now.
He was, I think he finished number 2 in home runs, or he tied Joe Mauer.
Yeah.
In the state of Minnesota in high school. So he's Joe Mauer's age.
Okay, so around 39.
Yeah, they both had the same amount of home runs.
Wow.
In high school. They were tied for the state or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
anyway, missile defense.
Missile defense.
Yeah, missile defense. But I don't know what he's doing now.
Well, maybe he listens to the show.
Oh,
if he listens, please write in.
And his brother
Podcast
was
21.
great too. His brother went to like where'd he go? Amherst. Really smart people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dad.
If he
Wheelers.
listens,
Wheelers. I hope the Wheelers are listening.
I do too.
William's the dad. He's a wonderful man. He's a doctor, runs the children's hospital up there in pediatrics in Minnesota.
Well, if they're
Rob
listening,
Wheeler.
Rob Wheeler?
Robert Wheeler.
Robert Wheeler.
Legend.
Now I'm going to look him up later.
Legend. Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find
him. Good people.
Robert, how'd you remember that? How'd they just come to you like that?
I don't know. I can't even remember my own kids' names.
I know. Jeez. Pretty good though. You remember him. Well, it's always your first though, right? Your first student,
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Robert Wheeler. All right. If he's listening, jimbopodcast21@gmail.com.
We're probably on a watch list right now.
You and I?
Right. If anyone mentions Rob's name, it's probably like the CIA is going to come after us.
I'm gonna have some black suits at my door tomorrow. Or
Tuesday.
Wednesday. Thursday. Yeah, they'll get here. Here's a good one. Swinging down. I've heard that for many years until it's now the pendulum has gone the opposite way and it's now like attack angle, like swing like straight up.
Yeah.
helping ruin hitters now. But anyway, nevertheless.
Well, it's swing. I mean, they used to say swing down for backspin.
Yeah.
Which is true. Like if you swing down, you'll get, and you hit the back of the ball, you'll get too much backspin.
Yeah.
And it'll be a pop-up. It'll be like an infield pop-up. You know, your spin rate will be like 5,000 RPMs. Okay. And then if you swing up, people think, oh, just swing up and hit it in the air.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the more we now study things, we know that if your attack angle is too high, you're probably going to top spin and hit ground balls more because your barrel is going to be going up and hit the top back of the ball instead of the bottom back of the ball. So swinging up or down many times, like for me, who I consider myself somewhat knowledgeable, like I could tell, you know, I'll watch players and be like, hey, I need you to swing up more. And they're like, why? I just popped that up. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. You just cut underneath it. You're too flat. Yeah. And then they'll swing up more and hit it solid and be like, damn. Or vice versa. Hey, I need you to swing down more. Yeah. But I'm rolling over. I'm hitting ground balls all day long. Yeah, but look at this. Oh, okay. I'll try it. So sometimes I love the whole swing up, swing. When you have players that are pretty good mechanically, right? They don't have any catastrophic issues. If you just tell them to swing up or swing down, that little adjustment sometimes just puts them right where they need to be. But most players don't understand that. They're like, oh, I'm hitting ground balls. I must be swinging down too much. Well, sometimes it could be there a little bit earlier. So you have to take every scenario. Where did they make contact? Where was the pitch? What was their attack angle? What did their barrel do after contact? What did they do early? Okay, now we can make an educated response to that player.
Yeah.
But most people don't. They just say, oh, do this, do that, and the other. Mm-hmm. And the kid just sits there and treads water for 2 weeks till he figures out, I probably should just go up there and hit and not think about anything.
Right.
Sometimes that helps.
Mm-hmm. Final one here. I don't think we missed too many. I mean, there's so many out there now. We can't get to everything, but keeping your weight back after you stride. So basically letting that front leg leak and having all that weight on the back leg, which I never understood that one either. It doesn't really, get you anywhere.
Yeah. They used to say step on eggshells when I was growing up, right? Sure. Just kind of like stick your foot out there.
Yeah.
And what happens is then you don't have a weight shift.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a weight shift, same thing as a pitcher, right? We're not creating any momentum. Mm-hmm. So yes, you want to step forward, and then the back foot, while squishing the bug, right? Like, trying to keep your back foot. So that would be collapsing your backside. If you just stick your front foot out and let it just kind of go up and down and not forward, where all the weight stays on your backside, then you'll tend to collapse. And if you collapse, if all your weight's on one leg, then you're going to not be able to rotate fast. So think about things that rotate fast. A top, right? Or a figure skater. You have to be balanced to rotate fast, right? Sure. You can't have all your weight on one leg to turn around and access fast. So, that is a good one though. Just kind of load up and keep all your weight back. But at some point you have to get off your backside. So it's just for a split second. And again, that's where video comes in is, players, geez, I feel like all my weight's back. And then I'll show them on video, dude, your back foot came 4 inches up off the ground.
Yeah.
How could your weight be back?
Mm-hmm.
God, it feels back. Well, here it gets back, but that's 4 frames after contact. That's what you're feeling, right? So it's like, okay, let's try to put more pressure here in the foot, or vice versa. Maybe they are collapsing, and now we're trying to get them off their back foot, and they feel like they're dragging it, 6 inches, but the back foot's like barely moving. So, like anything else, video doesn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
And if I guess it's whoever's interpreting that video at that time is the master, right? So I guess people can look at video and be like, oh no, you don't want to do that, or maybe you do want to do that. So that's why I use pros. I'm like, these are the best people in the world.
Yeah. If
they're doing these moves consistently, then let's copy these moves. Okay. What I'm not seeing are all these weird, crazy moves that everyone's doing, so I'm going to copy those. Maybe 3 or 4 guys out of 20 do that, but that's not enough for me. Like I want, the majority of guys that are successful, those are the moves I want to copy.
Oh, you know what? I did forget one. Squish
you
the
did.
bug. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just said squish the bug. Were you not listening to me?
I
Jim?
was, but I was saying it was transitioning. It was a segue because I wanted you to expand on it more. So because weight back turns into squish the bug.
Squish the bug. So we talked about squish the bug, right? Was keep your weight back. Mm-hmm. Back foot has to turn. Energy works from the ground up.
Yeah.
Everybody finishes with their back heel now, or their back foot facing forward instead of perpendicular to the plate.
Yeah.
So that got defunct, or debunked as soon as the video really came out. We saw that foot didn't squish the bug. But again, going back, maybe you have a player, I helped out with my daughter's softball team today. And so we have some players I've never played before, right? So very, raw. And so, I'm sitting there trying to get them to get their feet involved. And I can see where a dad would be like, dude, squish the bug, turn your back foot.
Yeah.
And of course, in the back of my head, I'm like, there's no way I'm saying that right now. But I see why people say that. So I told them, step forward, lift your back heel as high as you can. Yeah. And if you lift the back heel up, then the hips, will turn and you won't squish the bug. But I see why people did it, because it was easy and it was better than the feet not moving at all.
Yeah. Yeah. It was get your legs involved, get that heel up, and dad, shut your mouth. Right. Please stop ruining this time of instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a great question last week from a listener about how to properly choose a hitting instructor. And to branch off on that, how could a parent avoid these farces? Because these people online now with their sales pitches, it's impressive how they're able to market themselves. But a lot of times parents don't know the difference.
They don't know the difference.
Unfortunately.
And people make hitting very complex and difficult.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. If I'm going to go, if I have a, medical problem, right? And they start talking about, all these different terms. I don't know what they are. I didn't go to school for that.
Sure.
That doesn't make sense to that. What does the doctor have to do? They have to put it in layman's terms, right?
Yeah.
You got to put it in Cal State Fullerton degree terms so that I can understand it.
Great degree, by the way.
Thank you. And that's what a good hitting coach has to do. They have to be able to know what's happening, the kinesiology behind it, what needs to happen in what order to be successful, but they have to be able to tell that player that might be 10 years old so that player can understand. And most importantly, they have to be able to explain it to the parent. So the parent who spends more time with the player can be able to teach the same thing. And that's it for me. That's number one. And that's why the online academy is very successful, because I'm teaching the player and the mom or dad. And so that they are on track and they understand what the kid is trying to do. And then when they run into coaches that say, do these other things, they're like, okay, we know what we're doing. Like, okay, coach, we got it. They don't obviously say, coach, that's not what we're trying to do here, but they have somebody in the back. Why are we, I explained, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And it makes sense to them. So if you go to a hitting coach and they can't explain it to you where you can understand it, then that's probably not the right coach.
All right, great stuff this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. New episodes every Monday at 9 a.m. Apple, Google, Spotify. Check out our YouTube page as well, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast, for various clips and previous archived episodes. And if you have any questions, reach out to us, jimbopodcast21@gmail.com. We do have a question here as we wrap this episode up. This comes to us from Matt in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Matt writes, "Hi, Jim. How are you?" I'm good, Matt. Thank you for asking. I had a question for next week's podcast this week. How does a parent like myself or other parents out there continue to work with their sons or daughters throughout the week after hitting lessons? Do you reinforce what they learned from their lesson or try to build off that? I know it's kind of a simple question, but one that I feel is important, because I see so many dads still teaching their kids the wrong way without any direction. Thanks again, and great show. Great question, Matt. Thank you very much for writing in.
It's a good question. Reinforce.
Yeah.
That would be, that's what I want my parents to do. This is the one thing I want you to work on. Maybe we had an hour lesson. I used video. We may have covered 2 or 3 different things, but there's one thing that's most important. That's the thing that I create a video analysis about. Then I give that video analysis to them, which shows them how to set up the drills at home. And that's the only thing I want you to do. I have one young man who's a really talented guy. I mean, I make the joke that he looks like a young Robinson Cano because he's only 11 years old, but he just moves like Robinson Cano, like when he hits. And he's a right-handed thrower and a left-handed hitter. And I like the only thing that they do at home is like top hand, bottom hand, 2-hand. They never use legs because that's what's going to make him great. And so the kid, they'll come in and be like, this is what we do. Like, I was like, dang, dude, your drills look phenomenal. And his dad will be like, that's what he does every day for 100 swings. And that's it. They don't go out and try to hit off crazy stuff. They just, want to fix that one problem because he had a big casting issue in armbar when we started and it's gone, totally gone now. So now we can start to work on other things. But yeah, as a parent, I would want you to, work on the one thing that coach was, teaching them. And hopefully there was a reason why that coach was teaching them. Sometimes it's a stride. Sometimes it's rhythm. Sometimes it's rotating. Sure. Sometimes it's keeping a front shoulder in position, whatever it is. I usually don't want to go crazy with it. There's a reason you went and took that lesson because you are looking for specialist, information.
Yeah.
So, use that and don't be like, oh, we should try this and we should try that.
Yeah.
I don't think it works. Now, if you're somebody that, maybe you don't take lessons, which is totally fine. Like you don't need to take lessons. Maybe you're a tinkerer. Hey, try this, try that, because the kid probably already has good mechanics. I hate to say it, but the best players on most teams aren't probably taking lessons because they're not needing them. They naturally had good mechanics. I mean, we see it at the lab all the time. I have an entire team. We have like 3 entire teams that train every week with us, and they are good and they drop bombs. And some of the really good players have taken lessons from us because they're young, but if you were to just go to like a 14-year-old travel team, that best player on that team probably isn't taking a lot of lessons. Why? Because when do you take lessons? When you struggle. All of a sudden you're 11, 12 years old. We're not the best hitter on the team. I need to go look for help. Right. And then you find that help, and then maybe you become the best hitter within a year or two. But I remember the teams I grew up on, like with, Eric Chavez, like he ain't gonna take lessons. That dude like got out of bed and raked. Yeah.
That's why, to your point, though, that's why I think you seek someone like yourself who's a more specialist type rather than someone who, I guess, gives lessons on both sides of the aisle, like hitting and pitching, those type of coaches. Not that there's anything wrong with that, by the way. No. And I'm not saying those people aren't knowledgeable, but I'm saying if it's my kid, I'm searching more for like yourself and a specialist type.
And I tell people all the time, like, hey, they're like, hey, Jake, do you do pitching? Yeah. Do you do pitching lessons too? No.
I'm trying to beat those guys.
I don't have enough room in my brain to specialize in that. Like here, this guy's great. I trust him. I'd send my own kid here, and that's how you need to be. But yeah, it's all, and it depends on where you live too. There's, may not be someone you can a really go to person that you love or you like or you want to spend time with. So. If that's it, I mean, that's why the online's successful, because you can live in very small towns and still have access to good instruction. But sometimes it's just play, like get out there with your kids and just play. I use my daughter as an example sometimes, and she's not around right now, obviously, because it's Monday morning and she's in school, but we were very basic, and we don't do as much as we should. Like I'd like to hit with her a lot more, but she as she grows and gets bigger, like I taught her very basic moves, like so she didn't have any bad habits.
Yeah.
She had a big leg kick that was kind of gross. I let her do it.
Yeah.
She had this hand where I let her do it. And then all of a sudden we kind of rolled out today and she's grown a little bit and she's hitting like balls farther than she's ever hit them before. And I'm like, there's a kid that's never going to have to change as she gets older. She's 11. She won't have to change her swing. So sometimes at that very early age, if you can just bypass those catastrophic issues and build in something good, then the career will be, the career is going to be easier.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be as stressful and you won't have to remake your swing when you're 14, 15, which is really difficult.
We got to get your daughter on as a special guest on the podcast one time.
Yeah.
She can help us navigate one of our new softball episodes very soon.
Yeah, she'd do it. She wants to be a broadcaster. So
no kidding, really?
She would totally do it. Yeah.
Also, another guest we should get, your father, if he's willing to do it.
I saw Big Mike tonight. Or last night. I saw him last night.
Or you mean on Saturday night?
I had dinner with him. Oh yeah, 2 nights ago.
2 nights.
2 nights ago. 2 nights ago. Had dinner with him. So we talked about all kinds of stuff. You know, he was Jerry Weinstein, who you see on Twitter all the time, right?
We've
Jerry's
talked about him on the show.
Phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
So Jerry told me that my dad was the greatest amateur player he had ever seen. Like the legend lives on in Southern California. And my dad used to tell me, like, as a kid, he's like, Jake, I threw 90 miles. Like I threw harder than everyone when I was 14. Yeah. And I wasn't an early mature.
Yeah.
And he blew his arm out when he was 15. And they didn't, there was nothing. So he played football. He's like, oh, can't throw anymore. Yeah. But he was a freak. So yeah, he would be fun. We'd have to do it at the right time, when he's not tired.
Feeling good. Yeah.
He's feeling good, but
does he still drink coffee or is that
oh yeah.
Big time.
Nothing can stop Big Mike and his coffee and weekly bourbon.
Very good. So we have to get grandfather Epstein on and we have to get granddaughter Epstein on.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Vivian will keep it very entertaining.
Will she keep us on track?
Fast talker. Yeah, no. She's a fast talker, so we'll have to slow her down.
Yeah.
Might have to give her a year. We'll give her some training.
Yeah, sure. Before you know it, she can just step in right in for me. And then
me too.
Get me out of the equation. All right, very good. Next week, episode 46, as we march closer to our 50th episode, half a century of episodes. How about that? That'll be 50 weeks. Next week will be like what, 48 weeks if you count the two best of episodes. Next week though, episode number 50, Jesus, 54, it's early in the morning. Excuse me, 46. We will be talking about hit tracks next week and kind of diving into that. And we mentioned earlier in the show when we were doing the break for the lab BCS about how you have hit tracks and you have virtual reality. We've talked about Blast on this show. We have not talked about hit tracks, and hit tracks can be very valuable. As much as sometimes on this show, I push back a little bit on data. I do think it's valuable. I do. And as do you as well, obviously, or else you wouldn't have the technology that you do. So we're going to dive into hit tracks a little bit and talk about that and hopefully give more of an insight as to what it could do to help your hitters and kind of comfort parents a little bit more too, or the parents who do listen to this show, and how it could help their young hitters get better.
Yeah. Hit tracks is great. It really is. It's fun. We'll talk about, good things to look for and how to use it, the proper ways to use it, the downfalls, some kids, chasing a number. That's never a really good thing to do off technology, but we love it. We use it every day. May even get another one day. Who knows?
Who knows? That's right.
Who knows? The lab may be home of 2 hit tracks this year.
Wink, wink.
I don't know. Wink, maybe, possibly. We'll see.
Yeah. So again, that's next week as we get closer to episode 50, where a reminder, April 10th, you can watch us now do our audio podcast on our YouTube page. In the meantime, check it out, the Lab Epstein Hitting Podcast on YouTube. I am Jim. That is Jake with a great polo shirt on this morning. You look great, by the way.
You had to get up early to look this good, Jim.
I forgot to what's all that coffee you're drinking?
Yes.
That's right.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you next week, everybody. Take care.